So you picked Bulbasaur. Excellent choice. That's my pick too. You've just chosen the statistically best starter in FireRed and LeafGreen. It dominates the first two gyms, evolves 4 levels before the other starters, and has built-in utility with Sleep Powder and Leech Seed that makes catching Pokemon a breeze. Leech Seed's one of my favorite moves too. But here's the thing, VENUSAUR can't do it alone. It gets walled by fire, ice, flying, and psychic types. And guess what? The back half of this game is full of those. You need a team around VENUSAUR that covers every single weakness while keeping the momentum going from Pallet Town all the way through the champion. Today, I'm giving you the 6 Pokemon that will make the ultimate VENUSAUR squad. When to catch each one, exactly what moves to run, which TMs to grab, and how the Gen 3 physical special split affects everything. This is the team, so let's build it. What's going on, aDrive Army? It's your boy Dan, and I'm super stoked about FireRed and LeafGreen, and Asparagus, aka VENUSAUR, is my favorite of the starters, so we're gonna be breaking down an optimal team for you guys. Make sure you guys subscribe if you find this video fun and helpful, and let's dive in. Oh, and don't forget, you can head to TeamShiny.com to pick up a sweet VENUSAUR tee, or grab 3 and use code WINS or code WAVES to get 30% off your entire order. Go to TeamShiny.com right now. Before we go too far, I want to hone in on this key point because if we don't, you're going to mess everything up. In Gen 3, moves are physical or special based on their type, not individual move. An easy way to remember this is all of the evolutions are special, plus dragon, and everything else is physical. That makes it pretty simple. This means Pokemon like Gyarados with 125 attack, but only 60 special attack actually hits weak with Surf because water is a special type. Meanwhile, moves like Shadow Ball on Snorlax are secretly amazing because Ghost is a physical attack and Snorlax has 110 attack. So just keep this in mind as we go through each of these picks. It does change everything about which moves are actually good and which Pokemon should use them. Alright, so let's meet our squad. VENUSAUR is your backbone, 100 special attack, solid 100 special defense, good respectable 80 speed. It evolves 4 levels before Charizard and Blastoise do, so you'll have a fully evolved starter before most players even reach Celadon City. Here's your moveset. Razor Leaf. This is going to be your early game stab workhorse. Grass is special in Gen 3 and you can run it off that big special attack stat. It's got a high crit rate, which is also a bonus. Sleep Powder. This move is borderline broken for in-game play. You can put anything to sleep and then set up or switch out. It also makes catching wild Pokemon much easier. Leech Seed. Passive damage plus healing. Combine with Sleep Powder and you can stall out almost anything in the game. And Giga Drain. This is TM19 in the Celadon City area. This will replace Razor Leaf mid to late game. It stabs, special, and it heals you. VENUSAUR becomes a self-sustaining tank. It's worth noting that VENUSAUR can't learn any damaging poison moves until the post-game Sevi Islands, where you'll get TM36 Sludge Bomb. Don't bother looking for Poison Stab during the main story, it doesn't exist for VENUSAUR. Focus entirely on grass special moves. I do think that Poison Powder is a decent option in the early game, but Sleep Powder typically is better. VENUSAUR is going to be very strong against Brock, Misty, Erica, and any water or ground type Pokemon you encounter. It also trivializes catching rare Pokemon because of Sleep Powder. But it is going to struggle against Blaine, Sabrina, your rival's Charizard, and of course Lance's flying types. That's what the rest of the team is for. Nidoking is the single best non-starter Pokemon in FireRed LeafGreen, and it's not even close. You can catch a Nidoran on Route 22 before you even fight Brock. Train it up, evolve it into Nidorino at level 16, and you can use a Moonstone you find in Mount Moon to get a Nidoking immediately. You'll have a fully evolved Pokemon before the second gym. The moves you're going to want to ultimately work up to are Earthquake. Ground is physical. Nidoking has 102 attack, and this hits like a freight train and covers your electric, fire, poison, rock, and steel types. This is the best move in Pokemon. You'll find it as TM26 in Silphco. Ice Beam, TM13. You're gonna buy this at Celadon Game Corner for 4,000 coins. Ice is special. Nidoking has 85 special attack. It's not incredible, but it's more than enough for coverage. This will destroy Lance's Dragonite and any grass type you encounter. Thrash. At level 22, a Nidoking can learn Thrash as a physical attack. 90 base power off of a really high 102 attack stat. This is going to be your early game nuke before you'll ultimately unlock Earthquake. It does lock you in for 2 to 3 turns, but in game that's totally fine because most things are going to get knocked out. TM31 on Route 17 is Brick Break, or you could explore Megahorn at level 43. Brick Break gives you fighting type coverage for your normal and ice types, where Megahorn is going to be a 120 base power bug move that'll shred those psychic types, which is big for Sabrina. You're going to get outsped, so keep that in mind, but ultimately you've got both options. Nidoking is insane because its move pool is arguably the deepest of any Pokemon available in FireRed LeafGreen. Earthquake, Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Brick Break, Megahorn, Shadow Ball, Sludge Bomb, it can learn almost anything. It fills holes your team doesn't even know it has yet. Your Nidoking is going to be good against Lieutenant Surge, Koga, Blaine, Giovanni, Agatha, and even Lance himself. Up next, it's time for the firepower. Arcanine is a beast, and alternatively, if you're a leaf green enjoyer like me, you're gonna be looking at Ninetales. Arcanine is a beast, 555 base stat total, which is higher than most pseudo-legendaries from the later gens. 100 attack, 100 special attack, 95 speed. It is a wrecking ball. One of the keys, though, is with Growlithe, you want to train it to level 49, where it's going to learn Flamethrower, then you'll use your Firestone. Arcanine learns Extreme Speed immediately upon evolving. If you evolve too early, you'll miss Flamethrower, and Extreme Speed doesn't come back without the move relearner on 2 Island in the post-game. Alternatively, if you're willing to abandon Extreme Speed, you can evolve it and ultimately use the TM from Celadon Game Corner to get your Flamethrower if that's your fancy. The timing for Vulpix and Ninetales is not nearly as bad, as you'll pick up Flamethrower at level 29. One big advantage that Arcanine will have if you wait long enough is Growlithe will pick up Crunch at level 43. Dark is a special type move, so it's going to run off that 100 special attack stat, which will cover your ghost and psychic types that Venusaur generally has a tough time with. You can also explore TMs like Iron Tail or Aerial Ace, TM 23 and 40 respectively, which give you good physical coverage options. Iron Tail will hit those rock types, and Aerial Ace will provide flying coverage for those fighting types. Ninetales, on the other hand, I tend to lean towards a Flamethrower set with Will-O-Wisp, and then from there, your options are a little bit more limited because honestly, Ninetales' move pool leaves a little bit to be desired. But it does still give you a strong fire type that your team is going to want. These 2 fire types will cover Erica, Lorelei, Bruno Steelix, or any steel and bug types. It'll provide you a pretty strong attacker as a fire type, and it's really essential, especially for some of those late game fights. One of my favorite things about the original games is getting your free Eevee from the Old Man in Celadon Mansion. You'll enter the back of the building, and you can use a Thunderstone from the Celadon department store, and you have a Jolteon instantly. 130 speed, 110 special attack, it outspeeds almost everything in the game. Now, if I could get Umbreon here, I certainly would. It's one of my absolute favorites, but Jolteon is the wrecking ball that you want on this team. Thunderbolt, TM24, you're going to buy it at Celadon Game Corner for 4,000 coins. Electric is special, and you're going to have this 95 base power move coming off your 110 special attack and your 130 speed. This is an absolute Elite Four destroyer. Lorelei's entire team minus Jinx just folds to this. Thunder Wave is a pretty solid move. You can paralyze anything that's faster or bulkier than you, and you can always snag those key paras. Here's a secret Gen 3 tip though. Bite comes in as the third move for Jolteon. Dark is a special type, so Bite is going to run off that good special attack stat, not its really measly physical attack stat. It's a pretty solid coverage move against ghost and psychic types, and a lot of times people don't even consider it. Unfortunately, this is where the good moves for Jolteon kind of stop, but we can fill in that last slot with Double Kick, which is decent, or Shadow Ball, which I would hold on for something else, and you can meme with Pin Missile, but all of those are physical attacks, and there's nothing really that Jolteon wants to do outside of utilize Thunderbolt, Bite, and Thunder Wave. I guess you could use a move like Attract or Flash or Double Team to mess with your opponent after you paralyze them. I think there's some really interesting options there if you run into a really tough boss fight that you can't seem to beat. This Jolteon is going to destroy any water type, Lorelei's entire squad, the champions Gyarados and Pidgeot, and Lance's Gyarados and Aerodactyl. This Pokemon is absolutely nuts. Up next is Snorlax, which is the Pokemon that can take hits that nobody else in the game can. 160 HP, 110 attack, 110 special defense. It shrugs off special attacks like they're nothing, and then it hits back really hard. Shadow Ball, TM30 as a Game Corner prize. Here is the Gen 3 Master Class. Ghost is physical. Snorlax has 110 attack, and Shadow Ball on Snorlax is an 80 base power physical stabless nuke that destroys Agatha's entire team. Her Gengar, Shadow Ball. Her Haunter, Shadow Ball. Every ghost type in the team just fears Snorlax in Gen 3. Body Slam or Return up next. I like Body Slam personally because I think the para is really big, but in a late game, that extra damage boost on Return might be worth it. The third move slot is Earthquake, if you don't want to use it on your Nidoking. Generally, I would save it for that. Brick Break is another option that you could try to sneak in there if you didn't give that to your Nidoking either. And lastly, Rest, full HP recovery. Snorlax is so bulky that I can often afford to sleep for 2 turns and wake up still alive. Pair that with a Chesto Berry if you have one, or you can just rely on its massive HP to tank through the sleep turns. I also really like Yawn personally because I think the ability to put opponents to sleep alongside your sleep powder on Venusaur is simply worth it. There's some other niche moves you can look at like Rock Tomb, but generally speaking, you're probably pretty set with the moves that you have. Snorlax is simply elite. It has almost no true counters in FireRed LeafGreen. Fighting types are really the only threat, and your team has a Venusaur and a Nidoking, both of which resist. Snorlax can solo Agatha, it contributes against Lance, and it walls almost every special attacker in the game. Snorlax is going to handle the Agatha, the Alakazam, and honestly, it's just so good to take on almost any threat. And last but certainly not least is one of the most essential Pokemon on your team, and that is none other than Lapras. Lapras is a gift Pokemon, so you don't even have to catch it. After clearing Team Rocket from Silphco, an NPC on the upper floors will hand you a level 25 Lapras for free. It arrives ready to rock. And here's why Lapras is the perfect water type for this team instead of Gyarados or Starmie. In Gen 3, both water and ice are special types. Lapras has 85 special attack, which isn't jaw-dropping, but it's solid enough to take advantage of both stabs. Gyarados has 125 attack, but again, only has 60 special attack, which means its water moves are actually pretty weak. Lapras will use both water and ice moves the way they're meant to be used in this generation. And I remember as a kid having Lapras on my team and putting in the absolute work. This Pokemon is one to not miss out on. Surf is your key stab. Special, 95 base power, you're gonna grab it in the Safari Zone, and this is just a very powerful move. It's a mandatory HM, so it's actually really nice to have it. But the real key here is Ice Beam. As TM13 Celadon Game Corner, Ice type stab, 95 special power. This is your Lance killer. This is the way that you are beating Lance without any problems at all. Dragonite will take 4 times damage from the Ice Beam. Ice Beam is going to one-shot pretty much everything. And then you get to add even more coverage with Thunderbolt. Another TM, you can use this to pair with Ice Beam to create the dreaded Bolt Beam combo, which is absolutely phenomenal. Again, electric is special, so it's going to hit those water types that would otherwise resist your Surf and Ice Beam attacks. And lastly, you can look at a move like Body Slam or Confuse Ray. Body Slam is decent off of a decent attack set on Lapras, which can paralyze, and Confuse Ray is nice because it gives you the opportunity to slow your opponent down with confusion. If you're feeling lucky, you can look at Sing as well as Perish Song, 2 really cool options if you're trying to mix things up a little bit. And honestly, in that last slot, there's always the option to lean into Psychic. Psychic is a 90 base power special move, which will take advantage of that special type attack stat, and you can hit those poison types that run rampant across the game. Again, Lapras is going to destroy Lance, it's going to take down Giovanni, it's going to be great against Blaine, and it's going to provide your team Surf utility, so you're not wasting any move slots elsewhere. This team is built different. First, availability. Nidoking is fully evolved before Gym 2, Venusaur is fully evolved around Gym 4, Jolteon, Arcanine, Snorlax, and Lapras all come online between Celadon City and Saffron City. You're never stuck waiting for a team member to show up or catch up in levels. The team builds itself naturally as you'll progress through the game. Ultimately, you'll need no HM slaves either. Lapras is going to cover Surf and Strength if you need it, Venusaur can use Cut early on, Nidoking can use Rock Smash, and you don't have to waste a party slot on a dedicated HM Pokemon. Your team actually handles it most of them. Third, the Gen 3 split is super respected. Every move on every Pokemon matches the stat it runs off of. This team is optimized for how Gen 3 actually works. And fourth, your Venusaur's weaknesses can be covered by the incredible defenses of your team and the offensive prowess of their coverage options. Every gap is filled. This Venusaur team will certainly carry you all the way from Pallet to the Hall of Fame. Venusaur is the smartest starter pick in FireRed LeafGreen, and now you have the 6 Pokemon to build around it. If you pick Charmander or Squirtle, don't worry, those guides are coming soon. Make sure you subscribe and let me know which starter you're picking in the comments down below so you don't miss out on these videos. How would you change up this team? Let me know, and don't forget to head to TeamShiny.com and rep your favorite starter today.